This is the story of how Lindsey Vonn's Olympic dream ended in a devastating crash that left her unable to stand for over a week, requiring multiple surgeries and potentially ending the career of America's greatest ski racer. On February 8, 2026, at high noon in Cortina d'Ampezzo, Italy, the 41-year-old legend attempted what seemed impossible, racing in the Olympic downhill just 9 days after completely rupturing her ACL. What happened next was described as one of the most spectacular crashes in Olympic alpine skiing history since Hermann Mayer's cartwheeling fall at the 1998 Nagano Games. And the update Vonn shared from her hospital bed revealed just how serious the It was a beautiful day in Cortina, clear, sunny conditions on the Olympia delle Tofane course. Vonn was a 13th racer in a field of 36. Her father, Alan, and her sisters, Corinne and Laura, watched from the finish area. Vonn tapped her poles together 3 times before entering the starting gate. She was attempting to become the oldest alpine skier, man or woman, to win an Olympic medal. If she could medal, it would be her 4th Olympic medal overall and 2nd Olympic downhill medal, adding to her 2010 Vancouver gold and 2018 Pyeongchang bronze. At high noon, she launched out of the gate. 13 seconds later, her Olympic dream was over. Vonn's right arm hooked inside a gate, twisting her. She clipped the gate with her right shoulder and was sent spinning over a jump, pinwheeling and cartwheeling down the 2,572-meter slope. She landed awkwardly on her back with her skis crisscrossed below her. Her screams were audible on camera. And critically, her skis did not release. Her boots remained locked into her skis, pointing awkwardly in different directions as she tumbled. At the finish line, Vonn's sister Corinne screamed in horror and bowed her head. Her sister Laura recoiled and closed her eyes. Their father Alan crossed his arms stoically, then appeared to wipe away a tear. The crowd that had been buzzing fell into an eerie silence. Medical personnel worked on Vonn for long, anguished minutes. After approximately 15 minutes, she was strapped to a gurney. For the second time in 9 days, a yellow rescue helicopter arrived to airlift Lindsey Vonn off a mountain. Vonn is initially taken to Cotavilla Putty Hospital in Cortina, then transferred to Ca' Foncello Hospital in Treviso, a 2-hour drive south. Her father slept in her hospital room that night. The next day, Monday, February 9, 2026, Lindsey Vonn posted an update on Instagram that revealed the severity of her injuries. "Yesterday, my Olympic dream did not finish the way I dreamt it would," she wrote. It wasn't a storybook ending or a fairy tale, it was just life. She explained what happened with remarkable precision. Because in downhill ski racing, the difference between a strategic line and a catastrophic injury can be as small as 5 inches. I was simply 5 inches too tight on my line when my right arm hooked inside of the gate, twisting me and resulted in my crash. 5 inches, that's all it was. Then came the tragic update. Unfortunately, I sustained a complex tibia fracture that is currently stable but will require multiple surgeries to fix properly. A complex tibia fracture in her left leg, the same leg where she had torn her ACL just 9 days earlier. Multiple surgeries required. But Vonn was adamant about one thing. My ACL and past injuries had nothing to do with my crash whatsoever. Her U.S. teammate Keely Cashman backed her up, calling claims about the ACL being responsible totally incorrect, adding, "People that don't know ski racing don't really understand what happened yesterday." The reality was brutal. Vonn's left leg was placed in an external fixator, a device to stabilize the leg and minimize swelling. She underwent her first surgery Sunday afternoon in Italy to stabilize the fracture. A 3rd surgery followed on Wednesday, February 12th. A 4th surgery was planned after her return to the United States. More surgeries were anticipated beyond that. As of February 17th, Vonn had not been able to stand for over a week since the crash. Her father, Alan Kildow, made a statement that sent shockwaves through the skiing world. She's 41 years old, and this is the end of her career. There will be no more ski races for Lindsey Vonn as long as I have anything to say about it. Despite the pain, despite the surgeries, despite the end of her career, Vonn's Instagram post ended with words that captured who she is. While yesterday did not end the way I had hoped, and despite the intense physical pain it caused, I have no regrets. Standing in the starting gate yesterday was an incredible feeling that I will never forget. 6 days later, on Saturday, February 15th, she posted again. When I think back on my crash, I didn't stand in the starting gate unaware of the potential consequences. I knew what I was doing. I chose to take a risk. Every skier in that starting gate took the same risk, because even if you are the strongest person in the world, the mountain always holds the cards. She continued, "That's the gamble of chasing your dreams. You might fall, but if you don't try, you'll never know. I hope if you take away anything from my journey, it's that you all have the courage to dare greatly. Life is too short not to take chances on yourself, because the only failure in life is not trying." Those words weren't coming from someone making excuses. They were coming from someone who had already achieved more than almost anyone in her sports history. 84 World Cup victories, the third most all-time, male or female. 45 downhill victories, the most ever for any skier in a single discipline. 20 Crystal Globe titles, a record for men or women. 4 World Cup overall titles, an Olympic gold medal, the only American woman to ever win Olympic downhill gold. And yet, at 41 years old, after a robot-assisted knee replacement, after doctors told her body was broken beyond repair, she found a way to come back. She found a way to win again. She found a way to stand in that starting gate in Cortina at her 5th Olympics, chasing one more dream. The crash did raise serious questions about safety in alpine skiing. The fact that Vonn's skis didn't release during such a catastrophic crash alarmed many observers. Race bindings are set at up to 200 kilograms. That's 440 pounds of pressure, more than double what store-bought skis would have. Johan Elias, the FIS president, called Vonn incredibly unlucky and said the incident was a 1 in 1,000 situation. But Peter Girdle, the FIS women's race director, admitted that a smart binding system would have surely helped prevent Vonn from breaking her leg. The problem? That smart binding system is still in the drawing board phase after years of stalled discussions. It could be anywhere from 2 to 6 years away from being implemented. Vonn's boots remained locked to her skis as she cartwheeled down the mountain. Gate panels are some of the oldest technology in the sport, and now one of skiing's greatest champions was facing multiple surgeries because of it. Sophie Goldschmidt, president and CEO of the U.S. ski team, tried to put it in perspective. This sport's brutal, and people need to remember when they're watching that these athletes are throwing themselves down a mountain and going really, really fast. Anouk Patty, the team's chief of sport, added, "She'll be okay, but it's going to be a bit of a process." For those who know Lindsey Vonn's story, this crash was devastating, but not surprising. Not because she was reckless, but because this is who she's always been. At the 2006 Turin Olympics, when she was just 21, Vonn crashed badly during downhill training. She thought she'd broken her back. She thought her career was over. She was hospitalized overnight with a bruised hip. Less than 48 hours later, she competed in all 4 of her planned events. Her best result was 7th in the Super G. She earned the U.S. Olympic Spirit Award. In 2007, she partially tore her ACL. In February 2013, she tore her ACL and MCL, plus suffered a tibial plateau fracture at the World Championships in Austria. In 2014, she partially tore her ACL again. In August 2015, she fractured her left ankle. In November 2016, she severely fractured her humerus in her right arm during a training crash. In November 2017, she broke her arm again at Copper Mountain. By the time she retired in 2019, she had at least 9 knee surgeries. She'd broken her left forearm, her right pinky, her left knee, her left ankle, and multiple other bones. Her mother, Lindy, suffered leg paralysis from a stroke during Lindsey's birth. Her mother died in 2022 from ALS. Vonn once said, "I always feel I have a responsibility to myself and to her to live every day to my maximum potential and never have any regrets." That's what drove her back to the sport. That's what put her in that starting gate. That's what will define her legacy far more than any crash.
Lindsey Vonn's fairy tale comeback didn't end with a medal ceremony. It ended with screams on a mountainside, a helicopter ride, and multiple surgeries. Her father says her racing career is over. She hasn't been able to stand in over a week. More surgeries await. But here's what actually happened on February 8, 2026. Breezy Johnson became the second American woman ever to win Olympic downhill gold, 16 years after Vonn did it in Vancouver. The sport Vonn helped build, the legacy she created, continued. And in those 13 seconds before she crashed, Lindsey Vonn was doing exactly what she said she would do. She dared greatly. She was 5 inches from a clean run, 5 inches from continuing down that mountain, 5 inches from possibly medaling at age 41 with a torn ACL. Johan Ilyash, the FIS president, said it best. "Tragic, but it's ski racing. I can only say thank you for what she has done for our sport, because this race has been the talk of the games, and it's put our sport in the best possible light." Vonn's sister, Corinne, who screamed in horror watching the crash, later said, "We were just saying, like the man in the arena, she just dared greatly. She put it all out there."